Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
What's up, Vegas? It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro on a Friday. So glad you could join us. Oh, yeah, I hope everybody's in a good mood. My weekend's coming up here. We got a lot to get to, a lot to go over, and really excited to have this lovely lady coming up at the bottom of the hour. She is the wife of the former Vice President Joe Biden. Dr. Jill Biden will be joining us coming up here. About a half an hour show at the bottom of the hour. A lot of subjects to get to with her, including I'm going to talk a little bit with her about what her husband said a few days ago about the dog face pony show comment he made. I want to get her thoughts on that, but I want to talk to her a lot of other issues too, including Donald Trump, of course. So we'll get to that coming up here in just a few. There is a priest that is barring communion for some lawmakers because of their stance on abortion. We're going to get to that in hour number 2. Bizarre, crazy, ridiculous, whatever word you want to use for that. Also, the Houston Astros are now finally speaking out in regards to this cheating scandal. You're not going to believe what the owner, manager, everyone's saying about this cheating scandal. It's beyond reprehensible. I'll explain what that means coming up in hour number 3. And then a really interesting guy coming in studio. His name is Anthony Curtis. He made millions of dollars card counting at the blackjack table. Millions. At one point, he was known as the world's best card counter in the world. He is now banned from every casino from playing blackjack. He's going to be joining us in studio. Now an author, teaches others how to win at the gambling tables. Anthony Curtis will be coming in studio. I want to start with Rush Limbaugh. We talked about it yesterday, the hateful remarks that Rush Limbaugh made about Pete Buttigieg. And yes, they are hateful because it's not about policy. It's not about politics. Rush Limbaugh was going after Pete Buttigieg because of his sexuality. And guess what? Now bipartisan Republicans and Democrats are coming together saying that what Rush said was wrong, bad, awful. So I want to remind you, and I want to play back some of the comments that Rush said on his show earlier in the week about Pete Buttigieg. Here's a clip where he's calling Pete Booty Judge. Have a listen to this.
So let's say you're the Democrat establishment, and you're faced with some hard, cold truths. You got Bernie number 1, Buttigieg number 2, and Klobuchar with her Klobumentum number 3. You get Pocahontas way back there in the background, barely out of the teepee, bringing up the tail end. Biden's gone. So you're faced with a dyed-in-the-wool socialist who's not even a Democrat, a gay guy, 37 years old, loves kissing his husband on debate stages. Can you see Trump have fun with that? And Amy Klobuchar.
It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Referring to Donald Trump also as Mr. Man, and it says the country is not ready for a gay president. Have a listen to this.
Then they're sitting there, and they're looking at Mayor Pete. 37-year-old gay guy, Mayor South Bend, loves to kiss his husband on the debate stage. And they're saying, okay, how's this going to look? 37-year-old gay guy kissing his husband on stage next to Mr. Man, Donald Trump. What's going to happen there? And they got to be looking at that, and they've got to be saying that despite all the great progress and despite all the great wokeness and despite all the great ground that's been covered, America's still not ready to elect a gay guy kissing his husband on the debate stage president.
Oh, and it gets worse. It gets worse, folks. It doesn't get any better. Have a listen.
Now, there may be some Democrats who think that is the ticket. There may be some Democrats who think that's exactly what we need to do, Rush. Get a gay guy kissing his husband on stage, you ram it down Trump's throat, and beat him in a general election. Really? Having fun envisioning that.
All right, so it's absurd, right? We talked about this yesterday. It's absurd. The fact that anybody, especially the guy who gets the Medal of Freedom Award, would go after a politician running for president just because of the fact that he's gay is beyond absurd. It's hateful. It's homophobic. You know, you call it for what it is. That's exactly what it is. But now both sides are defending Pete Buttigieg. Let's start with Joe Biden. Joe Biden made an appearance on The View, and he was asked about those comments that Rush made about Pete Buttigieg, and here's what he had to say.
You know, you just had on what Rush Limbaugh said.
Yeah.
I mean, my God.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
Pathetic.
but it is part of the depravity of this administration. I mean,
Right.
the idea that, Pete and I are competitors. This guy has honor, he has courage, he's smart as hell. And we used to say in Claymont, Delaware, he ain't a I won't get into it. I shouldn't say it.
We get it. We understand.
Well, I don't know exactly what Joe Biden was going to say there, but I think whatever he was about to say, he was probably right. This might shock you a little bit. Donald Trump is actually backing Pete Buttigieg on this. So he made an appearance on the Geraldo Rivera podcast, and he was asked about the comments of Rush Limbaugh. Here's what Donald Trump, the president of the United States, had to say about Rush Limbaugh's comments and the fact that Pete Buttigieg happens to be a homosexual.
Would Americans vote for a gay man to be president?
I think so. I think there would be some that wouldn't, and, I wouldn't be among that group, to be honest with you. But I think that, yes, I think that it doesn't seem to be hurting Pete Buttigieg, as you say, as you would call him. It doesn't seem to be hurting him very much. And but there would certainly be a group, you know this better than I do, there'd be a group that probably wouldn't. But, you and I would not be in that group.
Yeah, then why are you giving the Medal of Freedom to Rush Limbaugh, you dope? You dope. And by the way, here are a few people that have literally zero credibility, but I'm going to read off what they said about the Rush Limbaugh comments, because when people like Senator Lamar Alexander and Lindsey Graham are speaking out against it, boy, you know it's wrong. Lindsey Graham said it's a miscalculation as to where the country is at. I think the country is not going to disqualify somebody because of their sexual orientation. When asked if Limbaugh should retain the Medal of Freedom, Graham said, well, my God, free speech still exists. This has nothing to do with free speech. If somebody went on the sidewalk and was screaming out the N-word, and Donald Trump gave him the Medal of Freedom Award, would that be Lindsey Graham's answer? Well, you're allowed to have freedom of speech. The question wasn't about freedom of speech. It was about, is this the right guy to receive the award? So, of course, Lindsey Graham dodges the question. What a shocker. Republican Senator Rob Portman said of Limbaugh, he may disagree, as I do, with their policy positions, but the question is what their qualifications are, not other issues. And Portman also, by the way, announced his support for gay marriage back in 2013, and it was revealed that his son is gay. Only if it happens to you, right, folks? If you're a Republican like Dick Cheney, who was anti-gay for most of his life, and then you find out that your daughter is gay or your son is gay, then all of a sudden, if you're a Republican, you support gay marriage. A bunch of frickin' hypocrites. That's what these Republicans are. Until it happens to you, until you learn that your son or daughter is gay, then all of a sudden you're going to change your mind on gay marriage. It's a joke. Republican Senator Lamar Alexander, who, by the way, is a coward and has zero, and I mean zero, backbone. Remember, he said, well, the president definitely withheld aid for political gain, but, I'm not going to find him not guilty. Talk about a guy who's going out the wrong way. Anyway, he said, there may be reasons not to vote for Mayor Buttigieg, but that's not one of them. This is a tolerant country. First of all, what do you mean tolerant? We should tolerate gay people, Mr. Alexander? Is that what you're trying to say? You know what? I shouldn't have to tolerate somebody like you with no backbone and no spine. It's ridiculous. But I am glad that at the very least, some of these Republicans are coming forward and saying, yeah, Rush Limbaugh's comments were inappropriate. At the very least, they're doing that. Yeah, that's what I want to hear from Lindsey Graham. Republican Senator Rob Portman, you think he would have been for gay marriage if his son didn't come out as gay? Do you think Dick Cheney would be for gay marriage if his daughter didn't come out as gay? Of course not. Because it's like we always say, until it happens to you. And then when one of your kids is gay, then what do you say about gay marriage? Then do you defend Pete Buttigieg then? I wonder if does Rush Limbaugh, I don't even know if, I think Rush Limbaugh has kids. What if one of his kids were gay? Do you think he'd be going off on the air about Pete Buttigieg? Of course not. Of course he wouldn't. Well, I don't know. He's a horrible human being. Maybe he still would. I don't know. I mean, look at Laura Ingraham on Fox News. Her brother is gay. They don't talk anymore, and I'm sure that has something to do with that. Would not shock me. Coming up here in about 15 minutes, I will ask Dr. Jill Biden, the wife of Vice President Joe Biden, former Vice President Joe Biden, what she thinks of all this. We'll steal a couple quick calls in here. Number to call if you want to join the program, 702-257-5396. Again, the number to call if you want to join the show, 702-257-5396. What do you think of the president now saying, yeah, we are ready to, I think we could elect a gay president. That's the words of Donald Trump. What do you think of Lindsey Graham, Rob Portman, and Lamar Alexander? Basically saying what Rush Limbaugh said on his show was wrong. That's what they're all saying. The ones that aren't saying anything are the ones that have no backbone. That's the majority of the people in the Senate that have an R next to their name. 702-257-5396. Why don't we start off with Paul? Paul, you're first up in the Vegas take. What's going on, Paul?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Well, first thing is Rush Limbaugh's a boob, regardless of whatever.
He's got two of them. He's got two of them, by the way.
Even if he's saying something you agree with, he sounds like a boob. It's his delivery that's
right.
Obvious. Now, as far as the mayor goes, I don't have a problem. I think it's the best for a gay person to realize at a very young age that they're gay, so they don't have to suffer through life.
Yeah, I agree.
In secret, But
Yep.
but to also be perfectly honest, I don't care to see two men kiss.
No, I understand that. Neither do I.
But I wouldn't ostracize him for it. But at the same time, what makes me feel most hypocritical, I can't look away when two beautiful women kiss. So you know what I'm saying?
Well, we're in agreement there. Paul, we see the same things there. Trust me, I'm with you. Yeah. I know what you're trying to say, and I agree with what you said about Rush Limbaugh, except for one thing. I have one problem with what you said. But you call him a boob. He's got two boobs. He's got two man boobs, not just one.
He's probably got three. Check his backside. He's probably got one there too.
Very true, Paul. Hey, Paul, good to hear from you, my friend. I appreciate the phone call.
Yeah, have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Chuck. Chuck, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Good. What's on your mind?
Hey, so it's not okay for Rush Limbaugh to say whatever's on his mind, but it's okay when Joe Biden says you can't go into a Dunkin' Donuts or a 7-Eleven without seeing an Indian.
Okay, so first of all, do you know my opinion on that comment that Joe Biden made?
Yeah, I don't know what your opinion is, but it's okay for these guys to do it.
Okay, so let me answer your question.
Crap,
okay,
right?
so let me answer your question. First of all, I'm not a big fan of doing whataboutism when we're talking about Rush Limbaugh, but I will with you anyway since you asked me the question. Joe Biden making that comment was absolutely wrong. It was basically racial profiling, for lack of a better term. It was completely inappropriate. But here's the difference between Joe Biden and Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh has a 30-year history of saying racist, misogynistic, homophobic remarks. Yes, Joe Biden has said a few things in his career that have been inappropriate. There's no question about it. And that was racial divide, racism, whatever you want to call it, Chuck. But we could talk about a lot of different people that have said a lot of horrible things in their life, perhaps. But Rush Limbaugh has a history of doing it time in and time out, and we've played a lot of those things on the show the last few weeks. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it makes a little sense, but it's just a tit-for-tat kind of deal, you know what I mean?
But it's not tit-for-tat, and I think it's a very dangerous place we're living in when somebody says something awful and they just say, well, what about that Democrat that said that? What's your problem with that? I think that's whataboutism. That's what it is, Chuck.
Well, you got to put them all in the same boat.
Okay,
then,
so
right?
find me. Okay,
and then you don't
fair
vote
enough.
for any of them.
Okay, so
fine. Listen. Then you got President Trump comes on and he makes 100% accurate statement, and everything makes sense when Trump says it. So hey, you should be praising this guy.
Praising who? Rush Limbaugh?
Trump.
For what?
You got Biden saying stuff that's racial. You got Rush Limbaugh saying stuff that's racial. And guess who's the big divider of everybody? Trump. He's the guy who speaks the truth. He says he's ready. They could be ready for a gay president. How you like that?
I don't understand what you're saying. You're saying Trump doesn't divide the country? He's never said anything racist or misogynistic? Is that what you're trying to say on the show? You're trying to compare Joe Biden to Rush Limbaugh, which I think is completely ridiculous?
No, I am comparing the two.
Okay, well, you gave me one. Can you give me another comment of Joe Biden that was racist or misogynistic, please, sir? More than one.
Bro, if I go back in time, I'm sure I could find a few spots.
But you can't. But you can't think of one off the top of your head right now. I could give you 20 things that Rush Limbaugh has said. He called the National Basketball Association the National Thug Association. He got fired from ESPN for saying racist comments about African American football players. He said the NFL, it's between the Bloods and the Crips. Time and time again, he's made misogynistic comments about women, about homophobic comments, about standing behind a gay man. It's an invitation. I could give you 20 or 30 comments, and we played them all on this show. You're telling me you want to compare Joe Biden to Rush Limbaugh, and you can only think of one thing that Joe Biden has said in his career? Give me a frickin' break. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Tim. Tim, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Well, I'm a new listener of the last couple of months here and there, but hopefully I'll be articulate enough. But I actually agree with the politicians, what you were mentioning, the different ones, including Trump and Lindsey Graham.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as Rush Limbaugh goes, I did look up your comments a little bit out of context. He was doing political commentary.
We played the audio. Please explain to me how I took that out of context when he talks about Pete Buttigieg kissing his husband on a stage.
He was talking about Democratic voters. There are a lot of Democratic voters.
So why talk about his sexuality? And why so when he calls him Buttigieg, please tell me how I took that out of context.
No.
Yeah, you're laughing because
Limbaugh, he does that all the time with a lot of people. And
so you think that's okay?
Have anything to do with race or
really?
orientation or what?
So you're telling me,
he
hold
does
on,
that with a lot of people.
So you're telling me a gay man who Rush Limbaugh has gone after because of being gay, he's mocked him for his sexuality and kissing his husband. You're telling me when he calls him Buttigieg, it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Pete happens to be gay. Is that your position?
No, that's his key claim to fame, actually.
Okay, so his claim to fame is being a bigot then, so that's what you're saying.
No, his claim to fame is being very harsh. I guess you could say the same thing about Mark Levin and other people. However,
has Mark Levin ever said
that is the nature of the business right now?
No, it's not. No, it's not. Mark Levin has never gone after Pete Buttigieg because he's gay.
No, I didn't say that. I said that he has a harsh side to him.
There's a
making
difference.
Fun of people's names.
Okay, listen, it's okay. It's okay to be harsh. I agree with you, Tim. It's okay to make fun of people's names. It should never be okay to make fun of someone because of their sexuality. Do you understand the difference?
Yes and no, but I think
so
that
you're
Rush
okay.
Limbaugh goes over that limit for your limit.
So your limit, just to be clear, it's okay for you. You think it's totally all right for someone to make fun of somebody else because of their sexual orientation. You're okay with that?
I don't think it's right, no, personally, but I overcome it as far as Rush Limbaugh goes for his other credits.
But you're defending
that's my personal position.
Okay, I understand, but you're defending Rush Limbaugh for going after a politician because they're gay. You understand what you're doing?
Oh, yeah, I know what I'm doing.
All right, well, we just disagree. I think it's wrong. And is this the guy you think should get the Medal of Freedom? A guy who makes fun of people based on race, gender, and sexual orientation? Is that the example we want to set for society?
Well, you're kind of twisting my words here.
I'm not twisting your words. I asked you a question. Is that
yes?
Are you comfortable with a man who makes fun of someone based on race, sexual orientation, and gender, giving him the Medal of Freedom Award? It's pretty much a yes or no question.
Yes.
You're okay with it. All right, Tim, I appreciate that. Tim might be living in his mobile home in Alabama. I don't know, but anyway, anyone who is okay with giving a guy a Medal of Freedom Award who goes after someone based on sexual orientation, race, gender is absurd. And the fact that he made my point for me with some of his answers, but yet still defends Rush, I am besides the point. I grew up loving Howard Stern. If Barack Obama gave Howard Stern the Medal of Freedom Award, I would not have been for it. Let's go to Wes. Wes, you are next up on the Vegas Take. Wes, what's going on? Wes, are you there? Did we lose Wes? I think we lost Wes. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Carl. Carl, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hi, guys. Listen, what a lot of people don't understand, number one, Buttigieg probably is more of a man than Rush Limbaugh could ever be.
Well, I agree.
He's got more intelligence in his little finger than he has in his whole body, the other guy.
I agree.
And he's more of a hero to, I don't think Limbaugh ever evaded enemy fire before, but that's beside the point. 95%, let me give you a medical fact, 95% of, or even more of gay people are born that way. Nobody becomes gay. This is they can blame God, these people, for making them that way. When a girl baby is born, it gets more of a overance of male chromosomes and genes, and the other way around with female. So as they get older, a girl baby, a girl with more male chromosomes and genes will tend to look at women.
Right. No, listen,
and
Carl.
Vice versa.
Listen, Carl, that's a really good point. I don't disagree with you. And, a lot of people, I believe on the right probably would disagree with you, but I'm not one of them. 257-5396. Let's go to Martin. Martin, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on? What's on your mind, Martin?
Hey, hi. I thought I heard you gentlemen say that the president said it might be time for a gay president.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say it might be time. He said that he thinks that Americans would vote for a gay president. He says it is possible. That's what he said.
Okay, so I think that he's putting Rush Limbaugh up to do all the dirty work for him. That's why.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more, Martin. That's a good point.
Rush Limbaugh does not belong on the same list as Mother Teresa.
I agree. You are, Martin, that is such a great point you just made, sir. I appreciate your phone call. You're not the first person to tell me that. In fact, it was even JD who said that he might be doing the dirty work for Trump. I couldn't agree with you more. That's a great point. Let's go to Gene. Gene, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's up, Gene?
Yeah, good morning. I just wanted to push back a little bit on the Limbaugh take. I think you're twisting it a little bit because I made the same comment to my wife the other day, something similar. I said, you know what, Buttigieg is a great guy, good candidate, what the Democrats need. However, a certain percentage of the population is just going to realize that all of a sudden, oh my God, the first lady's a dude. And that's just reality. It's not
okay, but the way you said that, the way you just said that is very different than the way Rush Limbaugh said it. I don't disagree with you, by the way. For the record, yeah, there are probably voters in this country that would not vote for Pete Buttigieg because he's gay. There's nothing wrong with you saying that, and I agree with you. But Rush Limbaugh mocked him for kissing his husband on a stage. He calls him Buttigieg, and other types of names that he's called homosexuals, by the way, in the past. He's mocking the man for being gay. The way you said it is very different, and I don't disagree with you.
Okay, but I think, well, for instance, you say you listened to Howard Stern, as I did religiously till he went to Sirius, then I bailed. But at the same time, I was listening to Rush Limbaugh, and I listened for 25 years probably. If I thought he was actually racist, bigoted, etc., I would have figured it out by now.
So why did he get? We only got 30 seconds, and we got to go to break. Why did he get fired from ESPN when he calls the National Thug Association and he talks about the Bloods and the Crips playing in the NFL? Is that not racism?
Actually, I thought you were referring to that Philadelphia quarterback who he knows a hell of a lot about football. He knows the inner workings of it.
All right, Gene,
there was a lot to that.
I understand, Gene, and I appreciate the phone call. I'm up against a hard break. We can continue this conversation at another time, but the bottom line is you can't defend it. Rush has said racist remarks. Take a quick break. When we come back, Jill Biden will be joining us. Take a break. Be back right after this.